The Senate Committee on Emerging Issues and Professional Registration is being called to order. I should call the roll.
Chairman Brown.
Here.
Senator Berger.
Here.
Senator Brown. Senator Huff. Senator Lewis. Senator McCreary. Here. Senator Schwar.
We have a quorum. When a witness is about to speak, he or she should introduce themselves and address their comments to the committee. Witnesses need to keep their comments relevant to the bill being heard. Each witness must complete a witness appearance form and leave it on the desk. Only individuals or organizations testifying in person will be recorded in the committee minutes. Excuse me. Members of the committee, remember to speak into your microphones. Those listening online can hear what the committee is discussing. Today we will be hearing one bill. If we have a quorum, Senator Beck, we may have to pause real quick, do an executive session when we get in here, but if you're ready, go ahead and we'll hear your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, I am Senator Doug Beck, 1st Senate District, which is South St. Louis County. It's a privilege and honor to represent the district, and it's also, thank you for hearing Senate Bill 31 today. And I'm going to have a short testimony. I'll kind of bring you through the history of this mechanical licensing bill. Back in 2017, it was first introduced into the House and Senate, and the original bill resembles this bill in somewhat, closer to this bill than other iterations of it as it went along in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. So I've been involved with this since I was in the House, so I'm, full disclosure, I'm a pipe fitter, so this is the work that I do in mechanical contracting and those kinds of things. But what I want to say is again, we spent in 23, Senator, myself and Senator Schwar here, we spent quite a few hours in a row, and he can agree or attest to this. We did quite a long time. It was a 3-day period of 16 hours, 12 hours to negotiate a bill that we were both happy with and we were both unhappy with. And that's what I think the Senate's all about. And we negotiated that, and we talked about it with all the players that were involved on both sides of that bill. And we came up with this solution here. Matter of fact, the Senator has filed the exact same bill I have. We've talked, we've had an agreement that we would try to get this through. At that time, we brought it to the Senate floor after we had that negotiation, and we worked with the new pro tem, Cindy O'Laughlin, and we worked on it with her, and she was integral in bringing those groups together to negotiate the language of this particular bill. And when we got it on the floor, the senator at that time was carrying Senate Bill 80. He got up and we both inquired of each other, and then we got a 33-0 vote to pass this language out of the Senate. It then got stalled in the House, and whatever, things happen around here, as you know. But at the end of the day, this was what I think the Senate is all about. What we did here and the negotiations we put forward into this is what the Senate is all about, and what I'd love to get back towards. So that's why I'm presenting this bill today. I would like to get this behind us and make our state better as far as as mechanical contracting goes, and give our contractors the ability to be able to go anywhere in the state. It also sets forth a path to allow for education and things of craftsmen that do this kind of work. So with that, I can take either any questions or call witnesses.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions from the committee for Senator Beck? Senator Berger.
Yes, sir. Can you tell me what all crafts would fall under this, and then also why would Greene, Newton, and Jasper counties be omitted?
So Newton and Jasper County, so that was part of the negotiations that were had. I'll address that first. They were left out because they have actually higher standards than what's in this bill, and they wanted to be left out. They didn't want to bring those standards down. There might be somebody that talks about that later. We had conversations with the senator down in that area, and at first she was a little upset, but then she realized what was going on. So they were left out. They were carved out of that bill because they have higher standards currently than this bill would. We tried to do that, and Senator, if the senator wants to discuss that, he can. But we tried to get that, but that didn't happen. So we thought the best way to approach that was to take them out. And then this, I think it's like 8 different crafts of pipe fitters, sheet metal workers, service techs, things like that, Boilermakers. They can be all in the mechanical trades. There's quite a few different trades in there. So. Yeah, it's like 8 different. Yeah, it can be all encompassing. Now we've scaled it back some. We've taken out like some of they're technically in the bill because they're they're out of it, but they're like the chimney sweeps have been taken out, and sprinkler fitters have been taken out. Propane in the outside area has been taken out because again they like their standards. So, like I said, this is a true compromise.
Are there any other questions from the Senator McCreary?
So just to clarify, it sounds like the bill we're looking at right now is kind of where the Senate left off last year. So it's not like you didn't have conversations and then forget that the conversations happened and then we're starting over again. You picked up where we left off last year, basically.
This bill from 23, this is the exact bill from 23.
Okay.
So this is exactly what it was in 23. And
Okay.
that 33 senators, which I think you
Yeah.
were included, voted. And I know the senator from the 7th dealt with this bill when she was in the House, so she's very versed in this bill. So I know she knows a lot about this language. So, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. One of my frustrations that I'm dealing with currently is spent a lot of time with colleagues last session working on compromises and negotiations, and then all of that just disappeared and we're right back to square one. So it's kind of frustrating to me, quite
So
honestly.
I'm not trying to pump him up, but the Senator Shorn, we've had several
Yeah.
conversations, and he can speak to himself, but we've agreed a deal's a deal's a deal.
Yeah,
And
no, I
that's it.
appreciate that
So,
because I'm not experiencing that right now. So thank you.
Are there any questions for Senator Beck? All right, seeing none. Before we get started on the testimony, we're going to pause real quick to do an executive session. We have 2 bills to vote on today. I make a motion to move into executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. We are in executive session. I move that Senate Bill 3 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. This is Senator Sandy Crawford's bill. She presented this, Senate Bill 3. I have a committee substitute which has been distributed ending in .03C. The committee substitute was emailed to the committee members yesterday. The Senate committee substitute removes the distribution fund plan and allows the offices to keep $3 instead of $2. I now move for adoption of the committee substitute. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion on that? Senator Schroeder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with Senator Crawford last night. I don't know how I'm going to vote on the floor, but to continue this discussion, this has been an issue we've dealt with year after year. And I'd rather not see it die in committee and wait again next year, kick the can down the road. So I told her I would be voting for it in committee, but I don't know what I'm going to do on the floor yet.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting committee substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. The substitute is adopted. I now move that Senate Bill 3 be amended by the committee substitute, be voted out, do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ashley, call the roll to vote. Ashley, call the roll to vote Senate Bill 3 out of committee, do pass.
Chairman Brown.
Aye.
Senator Berger. Aye. Senator Brown. Senator Huff. Aye. Senator Lewis.
No.
Senator McCreary.
No.
Senator Schwar.
Aye. 42.
By your vote of 4-2, the motion carries. I now move that Senate Bill 7 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. I move that Senate Bill 7 be voted out. Committee do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. This was Senator Bernskoetter's bill. He presented this bill last week. This bill modifies training requirements for members of an ambulance district board of directors. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none. Ashley, call the roll to vote Senate Bill 7 out of committee to pass.
Chairman Brown.
Aye.
Senator Berger.
Aye.
Senator Brown. Senator Huff. Aye. Senator Lewis.
Aye.
Senator McCreary.
Aye.
Senator Schwar. No. 5-1.
By your vote of 5-1, the motion carries. I now make a motion to move out of executive session, resume our regular meeting. Do I have a second? I have a second. We are out of executive session. We will begin with witness testimony in favor of the bill whenever you're ready.
My name is Mike Keevan. Thanks. My name is Mike Keeban. Thanks for hearing me today. I own and operate a small second-generation family heating and cooling business, and we operate our business from St. Louis City all the way to past Columbia, Missouri. In that territory, I have to obtain 45 different mechanical licenses for different public subdivisions. As each one of these public subdivisions implements their own form of licensing, they require me to come in and retest and take their form of the test to do the same thing I've been doing since I was 12 years old. I can assure you that I have every license that they already asked me to have, but they still require me to come in and take their version of it. That cost directly affects my business, which is passed on to the consumers of Missouri, and that's a shame. That's the biggest reason for my support of this bill. It solves big issues for my small company that just burdens my business down. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for this witness? All right, seeing none. Thanks, sir. Are there any other witnesses testifying in favor of the bill? Whenever you're ready, please come forward.
This is hard. My name is Ron Keevan. I'm the first generation of Keevan Heating and Cooling. My son Michael owns it at this stage. I am a former nighttime instructor at Rankin Technical College. I have taught HVAC at Union. We have been involved for 50 years in this industry, and what's taking place, what I see taking place, is totally ridiculous. We abide by everybody's ordinance. We take every test we can with our manufacturers so that the technicians are up and are very knowledgeable when they reach your home. To be licensed by people who don't even understand our industry is just a waste of time. And as my son just said, that waste of time gets passed to the consumers. So thank you for hearing my testimony. Thank you for what you do for the state of Missouri.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Any other witnesses testifying in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Good morning, Senators. David Claret, appearing today on behalf of the Mechanical Contractors Association of Eastern Missouri, Mechanical Contractors of Kansas City, the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning National Association, and the Plumbing Industry Council. We are in favor of this legislation, and I'd like to thank Senator Beck and Senator Shore and Senator O'Laughlin for bearing with us for now our 8th year. It's why I look like this, and I apologize. So, what a journey this has been, and as you know, Senator Beck kind of outlined the saga of how we got to this point. But this legislation before you creates a portable license, one that can be taken from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so that contractors like the Keevans don't have to get relicensed in each individual jurisdiction. It's what we've always supported. Now, mind you, since the time of the electricians, when they did a statewide license for electricians, the next year legislation was introduced to do just this, but then it took a nasty turn, and it then compromised the ability of the individual licenses in the individual jurisdictions that provided that, which we believed compromised our educational standards and training and compromised potentially your constituents' well-being. That was not acceptable. And so we, after Senator Beck's and Senator Shore's efforts for these last several years, we came to this conclusion. And I believe that it's a wonderful work product if we can get it done. By the way, I want to make it clear that the House of Representatives for the last couple of sessions did not pass this because of any material, substantive policy concerns. It was purely, and I know you find this shocking, political. And I know, sorry, but it's true. And so we've worked with the Eggers. it's been quite an effort. But I can stand and ask for answer any questions that you might have, either about the history or the substance of the legislation. But you have a lot of people who have put a lot of blood, sweat, and probably a lot of tears into this thing. And so we'd appreciate your support, your continued support, and hopefully we can see it truly agreed to and finally passed this year.
Thank you for your testimony, David. I really look forward to the day that you testify in favor of one of my bills.
Senator, speaking of that, I like one of your bills. No.
This is my year. Senator Schroer.
David, I've got a quick question for you, just to clarify. I know this has been around for a while, and there's a lot of confusion for, especially some of the new members. Can you kind of clarify how this is an optional license? It's not expanding government. It's not another hoop that contractors have to jump through. That this is an optional license if they are going to multi-jurisdictions.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's permissive, obviously. A lot of the counties, in fact, overwhelming majority of counties, have no licensing requirements. So one of the issues that we had to overcome was that in some of these jurisdictions, they didn't want to have any standard because they were afraid that their local commissions might take any standard and superimpose it on their counties as another standard. And so they were concerned about this. This specifies that the license that you get in one jurisdiction can be taken anywhere in the state of Missouri, that it is truly discretionary. You don't have to get this license, which is why you have the set off saying that local jurisdictions that have individual licensure retain that authority. And so it only preempts the local jurisdiction in the case of the statewide, because you've met the high standard that is prescribed in the bill, and then it allows you to take that anywhere. But it doesn't require that you either obtain that license. You still can operate as you do right now in your jurisdiction if that jurisdiction requires licensure, or if that jurisdiction doesn't require any licensure, then you will have no licensure because there are no other standards that are employed.
So, I'm sorry, Senator Schroer, were you done? So, counties that don't have planning and zoning, they're not required to have a license, correct?
That's
So,
correct.
to your point is some of the, like, probably I'm assuming rural counties or more counties that are more
Generally.
rural were worried that even though if they didn't have planning and zoning, we adopted this or they adopted that, it could spill over into that regardless. But there's really no way that can happen, correct?
That's correct.
If there's not planning and zoning.
Right, if they don't have the codes, if they don't have the codes and the standards, then they just simply, they continue as they are.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for witness? Thank you
Anything?
for your testimony, David.
Thank you, Senators.
Next up, in favor of the bill, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Matt Thompson, here on behalf of St. Louis County to express our support for Senate Bill 31. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Senator Schroer.
Is this your first time testifying?
It is not.
Okay. It's the first time I've seen you. Yeah. We were hoping this is your first time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to you on another bill. But thank you for supporting this good bill.
You sure this isn't your first time? It was pretty quick.
No comment.
Next witness in favor of the bill, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Will Mars on behalf of the City of Springfield. Just want to thank Senator Beck and others for making this compromise work for us all.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, next witness to testify in favor of the bill, whenever you're ready.
I wanted to take a minute to thank the committee chair and members of the committee for entertaining. My name is Brian Agers, and I had a contracting business for 20 years, and I also represent Gateway Air Conditioning Contractors, which is a member organization out of the eastern part of the state. We have nearly 200 members that are HVAC contractors. So just to kind of spill over to a little bit of the previous testimony, it does seem important to underline that this is an opt-in language. And essentially think of it this way. It's like having a get-out-of-jail-free card or a seat at the table. And so a lot of smaller contractors find it very difficult to obtain all these licenses, to keep track of who's licensed where, because this isn't just about the business owner. In some cases, it's about each individual person. And so having a license that meets the state standards, that is portable to go anywhere that we want, is key to being able to move employees around from political subdivision one to another. And so it overall, it's lowering the cost of being able to operate, which, we're up about 48% on the cost of just heating and cooling equipment since before COVID. And some materials are still over 300% higher than they were. 2025 is the year that the average price in America to buy a new heating and cooling system for your home is going to hit $25,000. And so with new refrigerants, new regulations, this type of licensure that we've been living under, where you have to have 33 licenses just to operate in the St. Louis Metro for one person and 9 additional licenses for every employee that you have, is tiresome. I mean, we don't forget how to do heating and cooling work because we crossed from St. Charles County into St. Louis County. And so, that's at the crux of this. Not to draw a negative, but I will say that the folks opposing this have complained that it doesn't go far enough. It's a compromise. Neither side who was arguing on behalf or against this bill in the beginning got everything they wanted. And I think it's a long-held tradition in the Senate and the Capitol at large. You don't always get what you want. And so we're thrilled to have this, and we'd certainly like to ask for your support to vote it out of the committee.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Seeing none. Next witness to testify in favor of.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Scott Ramshaw with the Plumbers and Pipefitters out of St. Louis. Just want to go on record that we're in support of this Senate Bill 31 and want to thank everyone involved on negotiating the bill. So,
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, are there any other witnesses to testify in favor of this bill? Whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. My name is Tyler Menos. I'm second generation HVAC contractor. A lot of the things that I wanted to say today have already been said, so I don't want to belabor the point. I'll just say the growing number of licenses that are being discussed across the state continue to grow. So places, even say rural areas now that don't have current licensing, if this bill can pass, if they decide they want licensing, they just get to adopt this bill. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. If they don't want to adopt licensing, they don't have to. They can keep status quo just the way that it is now. But the number of licenses just continue to grow across the state, continues to make it more expensive for contractors to do their jobs. The way burdensome licensing exists right now, I'll use one of the more populated counties in the state. There's about 1.5 people who are managing the licenses of 6,000 roughly 6,000 licenses, mechanical licenses in this county. It can take months or years for an individual to get their renewed license delivered to them. It's just not sustainable. So we're just trying to simplify this and make it easier and cheaper for everybody to do their job.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator McCreary, you have a question?
Yeah, so what happens to the professional when it can take months or years to get a license renewed? Are they still able to work, or?
I will say, to the best of my knowledge, it's been, you can, Brian might be able to answer this.
Yeah,
I say Brian might be able to
yeah.
answer this more
No, that's
clearly,
right.
but in essence, essentially they've had to go, well, we're not going to operate under the letter of the law anymore. We'll just let you keep doing what you're doing, even if you don't have a license in hand, kind of thing. But when you say you have, let's say, an apprentice, younger apprentice technician who has tested and done all the things, checked all the boxes to get their license, doing all that work and getting that license is a big deal.
Yeah, it's symbolic.
And exactly. And so when you're waiting months and months and months to finally get that, and you're kind of going, am I allowed to work under this license that I don't have? There's a lot of uncertainty.
Well, and from what we hear from constituents, there aren't enough professionals that are highly trained like this to do all the work. So, if someone has an emergency with a heater or an air conditioner, a furnace or an air conditioner, sometimes you just have to suffer it out. So we should be doing things that make it easier to respond to the customer.
And I'll state for the record, my name's Brian Agers again. So the way that it's being handled currently is if you had a license and you had a card and you were up for renewal, you can continue to work.
Okay.
Nobody's going to be checking papers. However, if you're new to the trade
Yeah,
and
okay.
you've just gotten your test and you passed, that's a gray area.
Okay.
So, and right now, when we're in a deficit of new
Right.
people coming into the trade, and I did want to point out also, the state of Illinois, which does a lot of things that are hard for business, this is one area where they don't have occupational licensing. And so we're seeing a lot of tradespersons coming out of school in Missouri residents, crossing the bridge, going over to Illinois, because they don't have to deal with any
Yeah.
of this.
No, I get it. Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions for the witness? All right, seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Do the other witnesses testify in favor of the bill? Whenever you're ready, please come forward.
I was hoping to thank Senator Huff for his wild efficiency during votes.
Good morning, everyone. Justin McCarty with the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters out of the Springfield and Joplin area. Just want to go on record in support of this bill.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. The witnesses testify in favor of this bill. Are there any witnesses to testify in opposition? Oh. Whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Adam Raper testifying on behalf of the Missouri Association of Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors. First, I want to thank Senator Beck and Senator Schroer for the work they've done over the years getting this bill to a more palatable version. However, it is still the position of the association that we are against any statewide mechanical contracting license. Be short and sweet with it. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none. Are there any other witnesses testify in opposition to the bill? Or are there any witnesses testify for informational purposes only? Senator Beck, do you have any final words you would like to share with us?
No, just thank you for hearing the bill and some of the issues that we, if we can address those with the rules once this is in place to stop the between taking the test and being certified to do the work. I think that's something we would definitely be in favor of looking at. So.
Well, appreciate you getting the bill forward, and I look forward to voting yes on it to get it out of committee and get it on the floor. So, with no other further business to come for the committee, I make a motion to adjourn. I have a second. We are adjourned.